Hey everyone! Today we're about to dive into Egypt's past, starting with our lunch, which we did after the church visits, and then heading over to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Cairo. Over here you can see us in the restaurant called Soiree. Now we're here at the NMEC, or the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. And trust me, this is the place where history comes to life. So let's go inside and check it out. This museum is divided into a few sections. And starting off with the prehistoric section, its highlight is this 35,000-year-old skeleton. In another museum in Cairo, which hasn't been opened yet to the public, there's a 50,000-year-old skeleton. Now, in the ancient Egypt section, we see these stories in the Demotic language written on papyrus and stone. Demotic was a script used in ancient Egypt for everyday writing, which was kind of like a simplified version of the hieroglyphs. Now we have an ancient Egyptian game that looks a lot like chess and is called Senet, and it's believed to be one of the world's oldest board games. This is the coffin of Lady Isis. While we're on the topic of coffins, this museum also houses over 22 mummies of the ancient pharaohs, and we got to see them face to face. However, videography or photography weren't allowed, but trust me, it's chilling to be face to face with history like that. Now we can see the jewelry of Princess Neferupta, and considering that all of these were used and made around 3,000 years ago, they're really beautiful and they shock you. Now this is a pillar with various cartouches on it. A cartouche is basically a signet where the pharaoh writes his name in hieroglyphic language, and it is now interpreted with the help of experts on the hieroglyphic language. Next, we have this God's wife statue. It basically means that one of the royal women of the pharaoh's family gets to be the major priestess in one of the god's temples. Finally, we have the Sphinx of one of the pharaohs of Egypt who used it to guard his tomb. And over here we have some ancient Egyptian mathematical tools. What you see on the screen are actually their first scales. They were working with numbers long before we even knew what a calculator was. And here we have some more articles of jewelry. The craftsmanship is truly incredible. Now we have some ancient baskets because the Egyptians were very famous for utilizing the various parts of the papyrus plant. Now we move on to the Coptic Christian section. This part showcases the religious transition in Egypt from paganism to Christianity. We just saw the stole, which is the intricate clothing that deacons wear, and these are some more jewelry, but these were fashioned during the Greco-Christian era. Next, we have some marble work and some statues that are a beautiful mix between the Greek style and the Egyptian style, as you can clearly see. Now this is a special setup called the epigalia, and the Bible used to be kept in this special place, and we can definitely see the mix that Egyptian work and craftsmanship had in making this. And last but definitely not the least, from the Coptic Christian era, we're looking at coins and fragments of tapestry. The coins have various different leaders printed on them, and they would have been used by so many people, and the fragments of tapestry truly showcase the beginning of a different style of artwork in Egypt. And now we're going to step into the final section of the museum, which is the Islamic section. Here we have Torah cases, which are used to house the Pentateuch or the 5 books of Moses, which is common in the Abrahamic religions. Next, we have these ancient ceramic vessels and the metalwork, which were probably used in everyday life. Now in this section, we have ancient astronomical instruments. They were charting stars long before modern telescopes came along. And we have the biggest highlight over here, the astrolabe. Now, as we go into the more religious aspect of it, we have the box that was used to keep the Holy Quran, and the mahmal, which was a ceremonial structure carried on the backs of camels in order to house the kiswa, which Egypt used to make for the Kaaba in Mecca. And here I would say the most important part is the kiswa, the covering of the Kaaba in Mecca. This one's special as it's the last one Egypt made for Saudi Arabia, and it's got Quranic verses written all over it. Now moving on to the tiny section provided for the Nubian race, which is an ethnic group present in southern Egypt. We see their fascinating jewelry, which I would say is the best out of all that I'd seen in this museum, because look at the colors, look at the design, and look at the way they wear it. Here you can also see the remakes of the women's garments. Aside from that part, there's another part of the Nubian exhibition which shows a traditional house in the Nubian culture. And finally, as you exit the museum, you see the remakes of the garments that upper-class Egyptian women may have worn during the ancient Egyptian era. The National Museum of Egyptian Civilization is actually inside of a mall, and therefore there is an exterior part of it where you can go out and enjoy the greenery of the mall and the exterior surroundings, which has mountains and the far-off city. From prehistoric times to the grandeur of ancient Egypt and all the way through Christian and Islamic history, this museum has it all. And if you ever find yourself in Cairo, you have to check it out. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to stay tuned for the rest from our Egypt series.